many different topics. So again, welcome. Yogesh, I want to start with the definition of emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence and why is important in our life, in business life?
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. Let me just start with setting some context here about intelligence. For the most part, we have been hearing about rational intelligence or IQ.
Yeah.
Would say if somebody scored high on an IQ test, we would say she or he is very intelligent. But that's like using your rational ability, logic, reason, analysis, and so on. But then there is more to success in life, in business life as well.
Yeah.
That's only having those kinds of skills. Yeah. So one way to describe emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage your own emotions.
Yeah.
And therefore to be able to understand how other people are feeling. So in very simple terms,
Yeah.
IQ is what you need to deal with things, with resources. EQ is what you need, especially to deal with people and handle relationships. Emotional intelligence is an essential skill in building and sustaining good relationships.
Yeah. Okay, so how many emotions are there, Yogesh? How do you define the names of emotions?
Yeah, I mean there are countless really. You know, there are the obvious ones. There is love, there is peace, there is joy, but there's also
Anger.
anger, fear,
Yeah,
frustration,
yeah,
irritation. You know, there's a whole family. It's a family of anger. There's a family of ego. There's a family of insecurity. So there are so many emotions, and
yeah,
it does seem to be that newer and newer terms are invented to try to describe how people feel in their daily life. And it's no surprise because in my view, that human beings are, firstly, we are emotional beings, and then we are rational beings.
yeah. And as we know, when I work in corporate life as consultant and coach, what I see, the awareness of emotions and is not so high. So why is important, you think, the awareness of our emotions?
Well, you know, people largely respond to the way you make them feel and how you treat them on a daily basis. So, for
Yeah,
example, in a corporate culture, in a business, teamwork is essential. People
yeah,
gelling together as a team. And when I go into the corporate world and do presentations and trainings, I find the majority of problems that people talk about are not so much technical, but more their relationship issues.
yeah,
So if I want to build a team, if I want them to grow, if I want to activate the best in my colleagues, in my employees, I need to learn certain essential emotional intelligence skills. And I believe that perhaps the most important thing that people are looking for from others is to feel respected and to feel valued. And if you're able to make your team members, your employees, naturally builds loyalty in a team and they emerge the best from them.
yeah. Respect is very important. Trust is very important in corporate life as well, in life in general. Yeah,
Well, this is what fosters loyalty.
yeah,
One of the things that we all want, especially as leaders in a workplace, we want people who will be loyal to the organization, loyal to the team, loyal to the project, loyal to you as a leader.
Yeah.
Loyalty is something you cannot demand. You cannot open the tap and expect loyalty to come out. But loyalty comes on the base of making people feel that they are trusted,
Yeah.
and also showing respect to them.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
about, how you deal with people on an everyday basis, how you treat people every day, rather than just kind of glowing speeches in front of the team or giving gifts. But every day in your little interactions, how do you make people feel? Do you make them feel respected, valued, that they are there as an important part of the team? Do you treat them as human beings, or do you just see somebody as some kind of resource?
Yeah. And what I see, there is one side is making profit and targets, and all the realities in life, realities in economy and market conditions. If it's not stable, we are always having this kind of stress and managing all these, making all these targets in these conditions. And the other side, trying to understand people, employees, and respect them, and these kind of loyalties, and feel them valuable. So how do you balance? I mean, for managers, what do you think? How a manager can balance all of these topics?
Yeah, I think even the fact that this question has come up is an indication that to some degree our lives have gone a little bit out of balance, out of a natural balance. In the work that I do and the research I've done, I find that in the past, people used to simply talk about skills in technical side, training in logistics, and being able to do the job. And that's important, of course.
Yeah.
But then more recently, I think organizations have become aware of the importance of good relationships at work, which we sometimes describe as soft skills. But I would say there's nothing more hard than developing these skills, that developing a happy workplace, a productive workplace, place where people feel they want to come, they want to spend their time there. But then there's a third area, which I think slowly the corporate world is also moving into, and that is teaching people how to be happy in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, relationships with colleagues is very much dependent upon my relationship with myself.
Yeah.
In simple terms, am I at peace with myself? Am I
Yeah.
happy? When I come into the office at work, are people happy to see me, or do they have to pretend and act? So I find that our lifestyle has to be looked into to see that do I treat myself well, emotionally,
Yeah.
mentally, intellectually? And then secondly, this will impact in how I treat my colleagues, how I handle failure, criticism, and also, of course, my ability to actually do the job.
So self-awareness is a most critical topic. Yes, self-awareness. Knowing a leader should know himself first, or self first, and define emotions, and define themselves, and manage all these competencies. And then the relation, what I understand, the relation between himself, he reflects to the others. Yeah.
That's right. Your relationship with yourself
Yeah.
impacts your relationships with other people.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm holding some anger in my mind about any issue,
Yeah.
I'm going to project it onto people I work with and in my meetings, and unfairly perhaps unload my anger on somebody, and they will wonder, why did he talk to me like that? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
So if I'm able to manage my own moods and my own emotions, then
Yeah.
I'm able to better understand how other people are feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Again, Yogesh, there are some concepts like empathy, like listening, but real listening, deep listening, and asking strong questions in communications. So, what is the important? Why is important these concepts in corporate life?
Well, again, it's essential building blocks of healthy relationships with employees, also with customers and clients. Um, if I'm able to listen to another person, I can understand what their real needs are, and then I can mold or shape my response to them.
Yeah.
What we find happens a lot is people listen to respond rather than listen to understand. And therefore, this then causes fractures in relationships. But can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, 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 I can.
We have some work going on around here.
Yeah, yeah, I
Apologies
hear you. No
if
problem.
there's some noise.
Yeah,
But yeah, empathy, being able to step into somebody else's shoes. And I can only do that if I'm able to step out of my own prejudices, my own biases, and I really want to understand where another person is coming from.
yeah,
There's a lovely old saying, I'm not sure who said it, but it's something like people will always remember how you make them feel. They may forget what you've said, but they'll always remember how you make them feel. And so to be able to empathize with someone, to be able to stand next to them, so they feel that this person really understands my situation, my needs. And it's the basis of building great long-term partnerships. When you feel somebody really understands your needs, whether
yeah,
it's personal relationships or professional relationships,
yeah,
this understanding helps us to come together and build great partnerships moving forward.
yeah. As a leader, I'm aware of myself, and I do my weaknesses and my emotional intelligence. I want to improve my emotional intelligence and awareness. So, what do you offer to leaders to improve these kind of competencies?
Yeah, there are various skills that one can use to do this more. One is simply asking for good feedback,
Yeah,
where other people who know you better than you know yourself, people you've known for a while, somebody who's mature, and just asking for some direct feedback about where I could be better.
yeah,
What can you see in me which maybe I cannot see in myself?
yeah,
As is the saying that what a host sees in 1 year, a guest can see in 1 minute.
yeah,
And so communicating and actually asking for feedback, giving other people permission to be able to speak openly about you, I think it's a great way to get some insights into your own self and to become more self-aware.
yeah.
But then
So
the second,
trying to understand what impact on the others, yeah? As a leader, what is my impact on the others?
yeah, exactly. Because it is the case that, we all have some blind spots.
Yeah,
There may be a certain behavior of mine. It may be the way I speak, my tone of voice, or even just the way I interact with people. I may think it's okay, and for me, it's no problem, but I may not be aware how that behavior is impacting others in a in a negative way.
Yeah.
Perhaps it creates stress or it creates some kind of discomfort in others. So it's always a good idea, no matter how high up you may be in an organization, to ask the selected individuals for some honest feedback. Now, this, of course,
crucial.
requires a large amount of humility and self-esteem to be able to listen to that kind of feedback without rejecting it or without feeling hurt.
Yeah.
So that's one. And if I may add a second thing, which is, I think, very useful, we call that in our practice as traffic control for your mind. And what that is, being able to take a pause and just being able to do some self-assessment.
Yeah.
For example, in a meeting I just had, let's say I had an argument with somebody, or I got angry if an employee did not do as I wanted, and it created a bad atmosphere in the office. But then take a moment where you can just be quiet and just reflect and observe your own mind, your own emotions, your own thoughts, and to see now, what was my part in that argument? Why did I behave like that? Why did I react like that? And what could be different next time? So traffic control for the mind is a bit like this, that imagine the thoughts in your mind are like the cars in the street.
Yeah.
And, if there's no traffic lights at all, you have a traffic jam.
Yeah.
Cars trying to go in different directions at the same time.
Yeah.
So to the question which arises in management techniques is, how is the traffic up here? Are my thoughts orderly? Are they flowing? Are they coordinated? Or is there a traffic jam in my head with thoughts going in different directions at the same time? When there's a traffic jam, we waste so much energy and you cannot see, where your behavior is coming from. So traffic control for the mind is like doing a 2-minute stop if you can, or 3-minute stop, and just making your mind calm so you can observe how your thoughts are flowing, and then you can redirect them so that there's a constructive direction in your thinking. And we can do a little demonstration of this in a little while.
Yeah. Let's make it now, if you want to. And I think it should be routine, yes, not only once. So we have to make it in discipline, just for short term, for short times during business life. So we can make our muscle stronger. Yes.
Exactly.
Am I right? Yeah.
Practice
Okay.
makes the muscles.
So, if you like, we can make it now, me and all participants, if they like.
Okay.
So we can see how impact occurs as a result.
Yeah. So I'd ask everyone just to sit with your back straight if you can.
Yeah.
If it's comfortable, have your feet flat on the floor. And what I do is I'll just lead you through a very simple guided visualization. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
This is just called the quiet room of peace. Okay. So if you can, just close your eyes and just follow the visualization as best as you can. And so we're sitting for a few moments just to relax the body and also to relax the mind. So firstly, just withdraw your attention from your surroundings and bring your attention just towards yourself. And now bring your attention up towards your face and up to the center of your forehead. And here, at the center of your forehead, just picture a small room. A small room, the center of your forehead, is your quiet room of peace. Just to visualize this quiet room of peace in the center of the forehead. This is your private and personal space. When you are inside your quiet room, you feel very relaxed. This is the place where you can be yourself. Inside your quiet room, you are safe. You are secure. And I need to do something to be able to relax my mind and to be calm, focused, and centered. So I'm able to have some perspective upon life and make correct decisions which I'll be comfortable with going forward. So, the way I see it is that there are like these three realms or three zones that we tend to exist in. At the very center is the being part.
Yeah.
Then around that is the doing zone. And around that is the having zone.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us tend to spend our time in the doing and the having zone. And that causes us to become mentally tired and to be, emotionally exhausted sometimes.
Yeah.
And traffic control is just an invitation to step out of the doing and the having zone, just come to that very center point of yourself, which I'm calling as the being zone. And just experience just being at peace, being calm, being focused. It's like a refreshment, a mental refresher for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then go back to what you're doing, feeling much more focused, much more balanced, and clear-headed.
Yeah, that's great. One of my corporate client in head office, Yogesh, has a silence room, and people are going there and doing meditation or doing nothing, in a very quiet place, and they refresh their brain. So I think that company understands the refreshment is very important for the success. So they offer this for employees. The other my question, what is corporate emotional intelligence? How do you define corporate emotional intelligence?
Well, it's a little bit connected to what we've been saying already, but the corporate world, of course, partnerships are very important, whether it's within your organization or you're partnering with other organizations. So it's about relationship building. It's about collaboration. It's also about being able to admit when you were wrong in some way, because the thing really well, humans will always have emotions. We'll always have the same basic needs, as we've touched upon already, to feel valued, to feel respected, to feel appreciated, for example. So even though digitization is increasing, and to some degree, we're not having the kind of contacts and relationships we used to in terms of spending time together. But it's really important to remember that it's human beings who have created the machines. We must not allow the machines to become our
boss.
Pardon?
Yeah, our boss.
Well, sometimes, if I just share an amusing thing, sometimes, when you're logging into some website, or you're registering for some event, then there's a message which comes up and says, it asks you, to prove you're not a robot. And so here's a machine asking me to prove that I am not a machine. It's quite extraordinary, the points we've come to. But I do think that, we must maintain our human relationships, because at the end of the day, it's those things, it's good quality relationships which makes our lives meaningful and happy. We mustn't make that as a secondary item to the digital world.
So, Yogesh, what do you offer advice in any topic for the corporate leaders and managers and employees? I'd like to ask finally.
Well, I think awareness is the most important word in any human language. And I always invite people to explore this word awareness and ask themselves, for example, even in the job you do, just remember that you do a job. The job identification. Remember, there's what you are, and then there's what you do. There's what you have. So I do a job, but I'm not the job. So in that sense, do not base your self-value or your self-esteem just upon your job title. And it's especially important for leaders, because then when you see another person in your company who may be doing, let's say, a not so high level job, but you see the person rather than the job label. So if I can take a step back from my job label and realize I am a person and here is my job label, then when I see another person, I will not just see their job label, but I'll see there is actually a person behind this. And that then allows me to have a bridge of communication with the other person as a human being.
Yeah.
Therefore, there can be an exchange of respect, a change of friendliness, and good relationships can be established moving forward.
Yeah.
I think that part of our lives just needs to be raised a bit more, so that, you know, we are taking care of each other as professionals, but also as people at the same time.
Yeah. Yogesh, now I remember, can you explain the power of being, and being doing relation? So the power of being, how important for human, for leaders, for everyone.
The power of being.
Yeah.
Well, again, the question is, who is that being? Now, for me, connected to being is a very important word, another important word, which I call as my sense of identity.
Yeah.
In fact, according to your sense of identity will be your emotional condition.
Yeah.
Now, people tend to just work on their emotions only, which is fine. There are so many techniques to handle your emotions.
Yeah.
I find if we go one layer below that, we come to the layer of identity. And there's another very wonderful phrase that you do not see the world as it is. You see the world according to who you are.
Who you are.
According to who you think you are is how you'll see the world, how you handle criticism, failure, praise, rejection, appreciation. All of that is connected to how you see yourself and who you think you are.
Yeah.
So the power of being is to be able to step out of all those labels and roles and masks that we wear in everyday life and ask myself, who am I behind my role? Who am I behind my labels? Who am I behind my masks?
And it's not easy to see, yes?
Well, it's not easy to see, but this
to face it, yeah.
Yeah, but the reward of doing this kind of inner work is enormous, because it helps you develop a very solid self-esteem, and it makes you emotionally very strong, very stable, and you feel very safe.
Yeah.
And then, your working relationships also become harmonious, because you're coming from that part of yourself which is very secure. And people feel it in your presence. They feel secure. As a good friend of mine asks, he says, for a leader, ask yourself the question, are people more happy when you enter a room, or are people more happy when you leave the room? So even without saying anything, when you enter a room, do people feel happy? Do they relax? Do they feel positive? Or is it when you enter a room, they have to pretend and, they put on a mask and they're just waiting for you to go so they can be themselves again?
Yeah.
So, if I am happy with myself, and if I am at peace with myself, then naturally I'm giving people permission to be who they are. And then our communication, our conversations become more authentic also. And authentic conversations are necessary in order to be able to find solutions. Let's throw one more thing in here, Çiğdem, if I may. Again, this is a phrase I love very much. And it's to do with also problem solving and decision making, and especially if two organizations or two leaders or any two people have a difference of opinion and they're just crashing against each other. I find a lovely phrase very useful, and that is connection before solution. Which means let's connect as people together. Let's connect on that level. And then it's much easier to work towards finding a solution to our problem. But if we're not connected, then it's just two heads crashing against each other, two ego systems colliding with each other, and it's very difficult to find a solution. So, I just feel this is so important to be able to find solutions together by, first of all, connecting as people, connecting as human beings, which I think used to happen more going back, in the past. I think the ancients kind of appreciated this kind of wisdom more than perhaps we do in the current day.
Yeah. Yogesh, I have lots of questions. I think we should do one more. Thank you so much. Thank you for to the participants. Thanks for contribution, and we will download this video on LinkedIn and YouTube, English and Turkish as well. So all people can follow when they have time. Thanks so much. Thanks, Yogesh, again. See you.
Thanks very much.